Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Heandhys Eka Putri, and I would like to present my proposal entitled Improving Students' Writing Ability Through Clustering Technique at the 11th grade of SMAN 12 Banjarmasin in second semester of academic year 2022-2023. Well, my proposal consists of three chapters. First, introduction. Second, review of related literature. And third, research method. Okay, chapter 1. Okay, for the first, background of the study. Writing is one of the important skills to be mastered by the students. They use it to communicate to each other. It means as means of ideas and emotional expression. The work of writing is presented in the form of text type, usually known as genres, which are closely related to the purpose of each type. There must be a convergence between English teaching and learning. Therefore, efforts to develop students' writing skills in English is not only one of the important objectives of English teaching, but also to adapt to the needs of examination. Based on the writer's experience, the most difficult skill to be learned is writing. The writer has observed during praktik pengajaran lapangan or PPL activity at SMA N12 Banjarmasin, there are some difficulties faced by students of sorry, 11 IPS 2 class at the first semester of academic year 2022-2023 in writing skill. There are, first, is they do not have idea to write. Second, they still confused in organizing the writing. Third, they often do some mistakes with the lack of knowledge in vocabularies. So these problems are important to be solved. Therefore, students get more comprehension in material of writing. Students think that writing is an interesting skill and can continue English material in the next semester. To help students solve these problems, it needs another technique more interesting in teaching writing. There are a lot of techniques in teaching writing, and the researcher would like to propose a technique which is clustering technique. So for research problem, based on the background of the study, the research problem is how can clustering technique improve students' writing ability at the 11th grade of SMA N12 Banjarmasin in second semester of academic year 2022-2023? This research aimed to improve the students' writing ability at the 11th grade of SMA N12 Banjarmasin in second semester of academic year 2022-2023. And for significance of the research, there are three significance. For the first, for students, will give an input to the students so they can improve their writing ability. Second, for English teachers, it gives the alternative solution in teaching writing skill. And third, for institution of SMA N12 Banjarmasin, it can be beneficial regarding to improve the education quality. Chapter 2. This chapter is about review of related literature. First, the general concept of writing. So there are a lot of definitions stated by experts. For example, Raymond 1980 states one of them. He defined that writing is more than a medium of communication. It means that writing is not just the way to communicate to each other, but also as means of ideas and emotional expression. Second, the purpose of writing. When someone writes something, he or she has purposes for writing, and each writer has his own purpose in accordance with the text of which was planning to write. According to Brain and May, 1996 defined four common purposes in writing. There are writing to inform, writing to explain, writing to persuade, and writing to amuse others. Third, the process of writing. So, writing process is learning how to write. This current emphasize in writing instruction focused on the process of creating writing rather than the end product. Fourth, the problem of writing. Writing is not easy. Therefore, according to Gebhardt, 2006, many problems faced by teachers and students. The first is the less proficient writer problem. It means jump the process of writing by skip the pre-writing strategies to generate ideas. Students might take much time to write down their ideas. The second problem is I can't write English problem. Students usually give up toward writing and believe that they cannot write. The last problem is teacher response. So writing teachers often spend many hours reading and marking students' paper. Fifth, the definition of technique. The term technique is commonly used in teaching learning process. It is often misunderstood with two other terms. They are approach and method. Therefore, it is important to give clear description of those terms to avoid misunderstanding. Sixth, the definition of clustering technique. One of strategies which can be used in teaching writing in the classroom is clustering technique. According to Cooper and Axelrod in 1985, viewed that clustering is an invention activity which reveals possible relations among facts and ideas. It means that clustering is a creative activity because when creating a clustering, people tries to find things related to the topic. Seven, the steps of clustering. Clustering can be useful for any kind of writing, and writers use it in the early stage of planning an essay in order to find subtopics in a topic or to organize information. And according to Axelrod and Charles Cooper in 1985, clustering works as follows. First, in a word or phrase. So we can write our own topic in the center of a piece of paper and then circle it. Second, also in a word or phrase, write down the main parts or central ideas of our own topic, circle, and connect them to the topic in the center. And third, the next step is to generate fact, details, examples, or ideas related in any way to these main parts of the topic. Cluster around the main parts. And eight, teaching writing using clustering technique. The following are steps in teaching writing using clustering technique. First, introduce the concept of clustering technique to students. Tell them that clustering technique would help them in generate ideas when they start to write. Second, leading students to generate ideas in form clustering technique on the whiteboard as a model. Third, ask students to write the first draft based on the design of clustering technique samples that have been made on the whiteboard to know that students have easy when started to write by using clustering technique. And the last, after students are able to use clustering technique, ask them through selected topic to make a procedural text revert to their own experience. Okay. Chapter 3. It is about research method. The first is research design. The design used in this study is classroom action research. So, action research is any systematic inquiry conducted by teacher researchers, principals, schools, counselors, or other stakeholders in the teaching learning environment to gather information about how their particular schools operate, how they teach, and how well their students learn. It means that classroom action research is aimed to overcome problems in teaching learning process in order to improve educational practice. And for research subject, this study is conducted at SMA N12 Banjarmasin. So this school is chosen as the field of the study based on the researcher has teaching learning experience during praktek pengajaran lapangan or PPL for 3 months. Therefore, the researcher knows the condition of this school and can identify the problems faced by students in learning writing. So for procedure of the research, the writer uses the classroom action research procedure based on Kurt Lewin's design in Kusuma and Dwi Tagama in 2009. It consists of 2 cycles in which each cycle contains 4 phases. If the first cycle finished but still found any problem, it is necessary to continue to the second cycle with the same concept of the first cycle. Those are planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. In addition, before entering the cycle of classroom action research, the writer conducts the preliminary study. Okay, so for the technique of collecting data. Technique of collecting data in this study is both qualitative data and quantitative data. So the writer uses qualitative data consists of interview, field notes, and questionnaire sheet, while quantitative data consists of students' final writing as a pre-test and post-test. So for the qualitative data for interview, so the interview will be carried out after classroom action research to know the teacher's response toward the idea of clustering technique. And for field notes, the writer used field notes to record activities during the teaching and learning of writing through clustering technique in the classroom, including description of classroom atmosphere, students' attitudes, and teachers' creativity in presenting the material of writing. And questionnaire sheet. Questionnaire is a form containing a set of questions and it's used to get information from students before and after classroom action research. And for the task, for quantitative data, there are pre-test and post-test. So the test used in this study, pre-test is done before implementing clustering technique, Meanwhile, post-test is implemented after using clustering technique, and the test is used to measure students' writing ability and to know the effectiveness of clustering technique to improve students' writing ability. So for the technique of data analysis. According to Weigel 2002, there are five components presented in the analytical scoring rubric. For writing, there are content, organization, vocabulary, language use, and mechanics. The writer used analytical scoring rubric to analyze the data related to the student's paragraph writing test of writing ability. Yeah. So I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.